one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best crypto asset? Bitcoin's the best crypto asset. Which one's the best? 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 What's the second best?
Looks like Santa's coming early, sucker. We are pumping right now. It is an exciting day in the cryptocurrency realm. We have Bitcoin up by quite a bit right now. I think we're up like 5% or something like that. Ethereum is on fire. A bunch of altcoins are lifting off in what looks like to be a bottoming out structure as we're heading into the end of the year. There's a lot of hope on the horizon. I'm excited about it. It's a beautiful day, a Tuesday. I'm joined with some of my homies here. But first and foremost, Kelly Kellum. How the hell are you doing on this fine day? You mentioned we might be escaping the SSRI zone soon on the cryptocurrency market. That'd be great.
You know, it would be fantastic if we left the SSRI zone. I'm trying to find it here on my charts because I got 42 things open. Oh, it's right here. Yeah, we are pushing back through it on Ethereum as we speak, which is fantastic. But what does that mean? Because we're seeing, some bullishness come in here onto the upside. But most importantly, and I highlighted this yesterday, we have this beautiful sort of falling wedge that we've broken out, kind of had a retest and making nice, not only basically new highs from this range. We got to basically clear this zone here and really look at what happens when we get up into the $3,700 range. And also, it's not just Ethereum, Bitcoin also, we've got this giant broadening wedge here, but we're back on the positive side of this descending previous support, now resistance, and back through it. But we've got a lot to look forward to, I think, going into tomorrow. But there's a couple things tomorrow that could completely send us back into the pits of the red candle. So we're going to be talking about that today. And of course, we got our man Piano Matty B here as well.
Matty, what is up, man? I saw the Canadians were going after us Americans, calling us crackheads this morning. How you doing?
Not bad. You have to understand that 80% of Canadians are retarded, though, right? So the people that are going after you are just, they're lost in Yonkers. There's no saving them. But other than that, I'm doing fantastic.
Excellent. I did have a crash out video that's going out on the blockchain basement today. I have to re-record it though, because it recorded the back end of the video. Like, it was really weird. So we're going to redo that. Guys, make sure to give us all a follow. Okay. Kelly Kellum, Piano Matty B, myself, we've all been working tirelessly since Bitcoin was much, much cheaper than it is now to bring you the information. Here I am at Druth Crypto. Kelly Kellum, as you know him, killing the game at Kelly Kellum. And then Piano Matty B, just to zoom in on your name so people can get it, at Piano Matty B. Literally the most based Canadian I've ever met in my life. Okay. And I know a lot of Canadians out there. Families from Bainville, Montana, which is dangerously close to the border. So we got a lot of stuff to cover. First and foremost, we got to go look at the beautiful Bitcoin chart on the 15-minute. This morning was full of fireworks. I'm so excited seeing Bitcoin wake back up. And Kelly actually highlighted some pretty interesting things that broke right as we punched up into this new lovely spot around $93,800. Now, the morning started off weak. And as I was talking about yesterday on the show, we wanted to bounce off of this midpoint, which indeed we ended up bouncing off of it a few times, writhing around, and then absolutely lifting off. Now, where we are from low to high on the day's trading, we are up by 4.5%. Boys, I'm excited for Piano Matty B's TA as well, but this is what I'm very, very excited about.
But, on that note, I'd love to highlight, people are asking, fake pump, why'd we pump? What's the reason we pumped? And we got jobs numbers today that basically just further bolstered that idea of a rate cut tomorrow. But not only that, Drew, we also, this morning, I saw this a little bit after that jobs data came out. We also see Trump popped on with this interview, and just listen to what he had to say, because everybody's wondering about what's happening in the next 2 days because of the FOMC meeting. But also remember, Bank of America starting to push registered investment advisors in January. We've got what's supposed to happen tomorrow, and if it doesn't, the market will pull back, as Powell not only cutting rates, but also announcing that $45 billion basically buyback, rolling back onto the balance sheet monthly, starting in January. But furthermore, we have a new Fed chair that's likely to be coming in. It's going to be coming in May, and this is what he said about it, and you can see his appetite for it when she asked a question.
I want to ask about interest rates because a lot of Americans agree with you that they're too high. You're going to pick a new Fed chair soon. Is it a litmus test that the new chair lower interest rates immediately?
Yes.
Just
Well,
immediately.
this guy too should too. I
Nice.
think he's a,
Look at that.
Interest rates immediately?
yes.
Yes.
Very nice.
Well, this guy too should too, but I think he's a combination of not a smart person and doesn't like Trump.
So you could see how quick he was to answer that. Is it going to be a requirement that he lowers interest rates? Yes. So interesting there. I just wanted to throw that in there before we continue on.
Okay. Well, I'm going to show what I had here. So this matters a lot. We have not seen a double green dot since the literal bear market floor. Okay. We have not seen the momentum get pushed this deep down since the literal floor at $15,000 Bitcoin. This has not been done in quite a while. Now, what we have here is I was hopeful that this VWAP returning to the upside as the weekly momentum moved to the downside on Market Cipher would signal a green dot to fire off here. And that is indeed what just happened. Now, these weekly signals on Market Cipher are what I've done a lot of my larger trades on over the past few years. And when I see this weekly momentum move to the downside and a green dot printed, that's when I am backing up the truck. I'm turning extra bullish. Right now, we're setting up for that same precedent. Now,
can I ask you to do something real quick, Drew? As you move your mouse across your chart and you have your lines, press Control. It's either Alt V. I think it's Alt V. And just show the vertical line at each one of those green dots and where the price action, what the price action does to follow.
Yeah. So basically, I'm not going to do your wizardry, but I will measure it.
So simple.
Okay. So here's the deal. So we got this green dot here. It printed. And then the first get out signal gave us about a 50% pump. The second get out signal, a red dot, ended up with a 200% pump. Then this secondary one, and I'm going over this real slow because I've been surrounded by a lot of neck breathers over the past few weeks that are just guaranteeing me pain, crying about the projects they bought being down. Here's what I'm looking at. A secondary signal going up by 100%. And then the third, most recent on the trade war crash out, gave us a nice move about 60%. Now, this is a signal that's going off right now as we're sitting at 90,000, give or take, bucks. And even just a modest half move of the previous signal because we're a higher market cap would get us right about to previous all-time highs. I have a lot of bets with bears in Twitter land that were guaranteeing me that we were not going to see a new all-time high in 2026, and they're probably going to end up paying up. I don't know. I'm feeling good about it. Piano Matty B, what are you seeing on the charts? Because you always have some good confluence. I like the market ciphers, especially the weekly, but essentially I want some confluence or you to poke some holes in this scenario right now, because I know we got to clear some clear levels to get back into like bullish zone territory.
Yeah, I just I went in and out here because someone was saying my mic isn't. Does my mic sound normal to you guys?
Sound fine.
Okay. All right.
Don't listen to the chat.
Well,
they know not what they say.
They got me again. Goddamn.
Yeah, don't listen to the chat.
Hoops here. Yeah. Well, yesterday on my stream, I said we're going to shoot for 97.3. Here we are, 93.8. Because unless we're over the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart, there's nothing to talk about, right? So we're just peeking our heads over there, and just it's not even that bullish. Just 200, the 200 moving average on the 4-hour chart is like, winning the participation cup in your C League hockey, the beer league, right? There's nothing to brag about. The next level is 96.2, which would play out from some old bull flags from yesteryear, but we're right around the corner. Here's where it comes to the confluence, right? See these peepers here, guys? See these peepers?
Oh, yes.
This is the bull market rejection zone of 98.3. This is where all bull markets get rejected. We've talked about this before, but I just want to show you the confluence here. We're at this channel of ascension. And the 98.3 rejection zone, all coming to a head. So can you see this play out, right? Now, the important part of 98.3 is the weekly chart. So on the 4-hour chart, we could break out of this channel of ascension, come up here, get rejected, and come back down. It doesn't matter how high we go on the 4-hour, even on the daily. It's what we close on the weekly. So if we go over to the daily chart, we can see how this looks. It's also confluent here. Here's those same papers. 98.3. We got the 50 moving average careening down on us here at this channel of ascension's resistance. So there's tri-delta gamma here on the daily chart. And then moving over to the weekly, you can see it's a little clearer here. This is it.
Okay.
So there's the 98.3. You can see whatever we do on the daily and the 4-hour chart, we could like go up to 90, like break 100. You know, can you imagine how bullish everyone would be breaking 100? 101 even. But if we close that candle back at 98.3, I gotta load it in the computer as a rejection.
Okay.
It goes down as a rejection.
Those are good levels to have.
Yeah, no, I love that because when you look at that level, I don't know where. Boom, oops. You do it. There you go.
There you go.
This level right here is same thing. You know, that 100 to 105 region. All it is, if you don't look at prices, everybody, just look at the shelf of where previous price action had trouble, supports and resistances all through here. Look at this. This is a very major level. And this is why a lot of people are going, and I'm going to, myself included, going to feel very bullish if we, push up into here. But this would be a necessary zone. If you look at that, that would basically still be under the golden pocket. So any rejection at the 98, anywhere in the 100 to 105 range, that means the bulls can't even make it up to the golden pocket. So this rejection is not what we want if we're, bullish going into Christmas or, the very beginning of the year.
Yeah. I got someone in the chat. Is this the guy that used to play the piano?
You are banned!
Still plays the piano. What are you talking about? With this move, we've seen some pretty big liquidations. We got to look at this. I was looking at this at lunch. So a trader on HTX got liquidated for $24 million in the move back on up. And, I know of a lot of people that got real levered up in terms of longs that were long-term. Like there's a stronghold idea at 100K that did not hold up. I understand it didn't happen. If you're in a situation, I would say this, like, let's say I had a long at 102K. If I see the price get anywhere near 100K, I am de-risking. I'm taking a little bit on the chin, and I would have already used a stop loss anyways. But if the stop loss wasn't there, I'm just talking worst case scenario, de-risking on the leverage side helps out a lot because we don't want to lose our entire trading bags out there. Even though the Discord is printing money, I know it. And I was really happy to see some longs on projects that I haven't heard of in a while, like Polkadot, things like that. The general market, though, Ethereum is waking up very, very nicely. I know that I was looking at Pudgy Penguins, even one of the top gainers. Cardano, it's been a while since I was just complaining about this, that I haven't seen Cardano be a top gainer in quite some time. And then Celestia off the top ropes, TIA token coming up with some big gains. So it feels good. I do want to see Ethereum's move, though. We're at about $3,369, 8.6% on the day. Kelly, can you inject some hopium straight into my veins about Ethereum? Because it seems to be trapped in this purgatory type state.
Yeah, I'm going to support it first with Bitcoin, which is going to drive the market, and then show you a crazy Ethereum chart. First off, right here, I know they mentioned it briefly on the morning show today, but Susquehanna, Jane Street, and Citadel, which are absolute powerhouses in the global financial sector. They're the three largest institutional players in the IBIT derivatives. What does this mean? They own most of the calls meaning bets on upside price action. So some of the biggest global financial players out there, especially here in the US, own most of the calls, basically betting on upside. So you look at the surge also recently in Jane Street's position, increasing that bet on upside. And then you understand how much higher Bitcoin's going. In the interim, people are getting basically just chopped out because they wanted to go in every move But the fact that these major players are continuing and increasing their bets on upside while everybody is kind of running from the hills is kind of funny. But now when we're looking at Bitcoin, I've been showing you all this chart for some time, Ethereum. You see this falling wedge that's bounced on this trend line. I'll show you what that trend line is, but also the breakout, retest, launch. If you zoom out on this, let's go to the 3-day chart. If you zoom out on this, I want you to notice I have two major parallel lines. One is from this low to this high. That's where this line was formed. You extrapolate that out further, support at the bear market bottom here, right here in, I can't see. I think that's 2022 into 2023. Yeah, right here. And then you see we have the deviation below, back up. But what I kind of see forming, or a potential, is if we get this master sort of inverse head and shoulders, this is wild because these two parallel lines, we've got this trend line right here as well from the previous range tops. If you were to measure this out, this is like, it blew me away when I saw this about an hour ago. Look at that. The target on this breakout would be exactly to where that trend line was from the two previous tops. Now, do I think it's going to go to $15,000 to $17,000 this cycle? I got no idea. I said, hold up, wait a minute. But the chart does suggest that that's possible. I would be more inclined to think it's somewhere in the $8,000 to $12,000 range if we get that bullish upsides. But interestingly, these have played out in a number of touch points. It would take a lot of time to get there, but I just thought that was interesting when I saw it.
Whew. Yeah, dang. I mean, that's then Tom Lee would be walking around like a king, right? If we're in that situation. I know, Matty B, you're obviously, and reasonably so, quite often focused on Bitcoin. Do you think Tom Lee is in danger doing this Ethereum treasury play? He's almost like trying to mimic what Saylor's doing in Bitcoin, but he's a little late to the game, and he's doing it right now. What do you think about that?
Well, I guess only time will tell, right? Well, I mean, if Ethereum has this gigantic pump, well, he's the king for another 4 years, right? But my theory is that every bull run we get a different cast of characters, the different cast of talking heads, right? 2020, 2021, our cast of characters were basically YouTubers. That's all you saw, and you rarely saw any of them on like CNBS or anything like that. But now you get the Tom Lees, the Samson Maos, the Michael Saylors, of course. Those are our marquee headline for our talking heads. Now, will they exist in 2028? I don't think so. I think Michael Saylor will, but I don't think anyone really repping Ethereum DAT is going to last. I wanted to show you guys this one. This is the 1 year chart, right? So, it's 3 green, 1 red. We're right on the cusp here of fulfilling, what would some legacy analysts call a normal cycle, right? If we go green here and close December above 93.9, well, we'll have 3 green yearly candles in the cycle for,
And what's that price point to turn that green?
93 point, let me see here, 94.5.
94
So we're
right
really
there.
just tickling it.
We were there.
Oh.
We just we hit its taint there for a bit, and now it's back down.
Well, and we're talking about Saylor. He's saying some stuff that he might have an egg on his face if it's not true, because he's saying that now U.S. banks are issuing credit against Bitcoin. Citibank, JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, BNY Mellon, Charles Schwab, and Bank of America. It's hard to imagine we go into a year-long bear market right as these things are happening. Kind of difficult for me to imagine that happening at the same time. And then I know that Jack Mahler, he was out there making some pretty big moves. 21 Capital was in the news. I didn't get a chance to snag the story of it, but I know that Jack Mahler, 21 Capital, they want to buy as much Bitcoin as possible. It's basically a competing entity to Saylor's strategy. So the thing that drives me nuts about this is that they buy OTC, right? I feel like OTC should be banned. It's not like it ever will. You can't have nice things. But OTC feels like it should be illegal. Like if they're buying Bitcoin, it should affect the price to the upside. It's almost this weird situation that we've been in. And I got an interesting question from the chat here we can talk out. So if Ethereum goes 10 to 12K, What does Arbitrum, Tia, Celestia, and then Polygon Matic do? Me, I would be most bullish on Arbitrum in that ETH to 10K situation. Only from just general market dynamics, how beat down Tia and Paul are. This is kind of a random question, but me personally, I think that Arbitrum would be the better mover out of those three if we do see Ethereum really start to take off. Celestia token has essentially, I had it highlighted in the chat, but they've changed some dynamics of the tokenomics. It looked like reducing its inflation. Here's the post from you, one of my favorite player haters of the world. So they changed the emissions and the schedule. So, and he got further details, lowering its inflation by about 50% on TIA token as of yesterday, which is hopeful, but a lot of pain for early TIA token holders, And the player hater of the year, it's a channel favorite of mine. You know what I mean? It's something that I absolutely adore doing. And if you want to be the player hater of the year, just make yourself be known. Okay. I'm looking for Steady Bug. You yourself can be the player hater of the year. Silky Johnson, very nice on that. Now, all right, we got to talk about Jack Mallers a little bit. So he's working with Howard Lutnick, and Howard Lutnick is a pretty powerful monetary leader here in the United States. So it's Lutnick and Jack Mallers versus Larry Fink and BlackRock and Saylor and Strategy. Kelly, do you think that Jack Mallers has any chance to catch up with Michael Saylor? I mean, Saylor's getting near, isn't he near like 1 million coins by now?
No, he's got, I think, 660,000, 600, somewhere in that range. I mean, it's hard to say. I mean, think about it. Michael Saylor came out of nowhere, coming from a place where Bitcoin was going to go to zero. He posted that 2013. He was completely against it, and then completely shifted his tune in 2020 and, aped in, starting with $500 million, was laughed. He was the longest running CEO on Wall Street at that time as well. He's not like some new person on Wall Street. He's been in a profitable company for 25, 30 years. Already endured the 99% pullback or 95, 99% pullback during the internet bubble in the early 2000s. And now basically saw what was happening with the max inflation that was going to come out of that huge money printing from COVID, and realized he did a lot more research, understood Bitcoin, and really aped into it. Now, can anybody catch up to him? I mean, if you look at BlackRock's IBIT, they already have, right? But that's also decentralized in the means of the types of players that have invested to make that happen, right? Now with 21, I mean, you got Cantor Fitzgerald, the U.S. Not Treasury, what is he? The U.S. Commerce Secretary.
Is it Sovereign Wealth Management, or he's like the Sovereign Wealth Fund leadership for the White House? Howard Lutnick?
But it's beyond that. What is Howard Lutnick?
Let's pull it up, because this guy has some weight in the White House. Like, he's right next to Trump all the time.
Commerce Secretary. Commerce Secretary, and then also, he's a Commerce Secretary, United States Secretary of Commerce, which is business, and he's also helping with the wealth fund for the U.S. But
he was also Epstein's neighbor, so there's that too.
True.
Yes,
very true.
But he's very plugged in at the highest level on global finance and kind of making things happen. And so I don't know. I don't know that they got 40 now. It's hard to say. I feel like Saylor's kind of got a pretty big moat around him that it's going to take an individual player a lot. I mean, because what is it, like $42 billion worth of Bitcoin now? That's a pretty big swing for somebody to take.
Right. The chat's asking the big question here: who's the first to 1 million tokens? I gotta say, I'm betting on Saylor. What'd you say?
Satoshi.
Well, Satoshi's already there, right? They're all trying to catch up to Satoshi's wallet.
Say U.S. government.
U.S. government. They're at 330 now. They're catching up quick. They just seized another like 120,000 or something like that.
Well, so here's a scary thought, guys.
Yeah.
If they're doing this neutral based type of acquiring Bitcoin through things like seizure, if seizure is how you get the Bitcoins, well, then seizure is what's going to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of sketchy too, because a lot of the verbiage of the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve Act and talking about Bitcoin as a national security issue is the same kind of verbiage that the U.S. used in 1930 before the gold confiscation and moving to a gold-backed dollar in right around like 1944, somewhere around there, right after the World War II Bretton Woods movement happened, the Bretton Woods meeting. So the verbiage is the same as the seizures. It does concern me. And this is why like cold custody is king. Like, a lot of the time in the shakeout, I just had to reiterate there is no leaving this market for me because the government wants to seize it. They're trying to shut down my ability to self-custody Bitcoin, which tells me it's much more powerful than I really understood to begin with when I first started buying Bitcoin, right? There's like I bought the Bitcoin during the flu season dip, and it was a great buy. And then I looked up to Canada, and Trudeau's out there seizing the Bitcoin, and the Bitcoin was being used to fund protest against shutting all of the country down and against all of that tyranny that we were on the edge of. So it just painted a much bigger picture for me for Bitcoin. There is no leaving. I'm a lifer. You know what I mean? I'm a lifer in this thing. And I do want to ask you guys this. So we have the short-term holder cost basis. This is from Root. Didn't we hung out with this guy in Vegas, Kelly?
Yeah, he's a friend of mine. I've done a bunch of different spaces and stuff with him.
Yeah, he was highlighting the short-term holder cost basis sitting at 103K. My mind goes to the people that are new. The short-term holders are going to capitulate and get the hell out of the way once they can get a flat line out of this thing. I mean, is that accurate to think about some major pressure in terms of selling coming at that 103 mark if we get there?
Well, I mean, come over to my chart because I have it.
Yeah.
This is directly from his platform. If you look back in time, short-term holder cost basis in a bull market acts as generally a pretty good support level, and in a bear market, you see the orange line is under the green dotted line. It acts as resistance because short-term holders at a loss. They're so happy to get back to the average sort of cost that they got in, and they get out, and then they get out, and then they get out, and then they get out. So in this case, it's been a little bit different this cycle though, because we had the washout down, rejection, launch. We had the washout down, a little bit of a rejection, launch. We're having another case of a washout to the downside. It feels more to me like whale games, like what we just highlighted earlier with Jane Street, Susquehanna, and Citadel. I feel like the liquidity pressures in 2026, and I could be wrong. We could have a very frustrating year. Maybe it's a sideways chop the entire year. Maybe we actually do have a bear market and just kind of slowly melt. Who knows? But it feels like the liquidity conditions are going to see this as an absolute monster bear trap that's going to come back to the upside. Because remember, we've been here before, everybody. Remember this? The tariffs? Oh my God, the market's over. And then what happened when the market was over? It mega launched from $74,000. Come on. Okay, come on. Okay. This is these screens are so frustrating sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Right there. Boom. There we go. That is, look at that, 70% pump after the market died. Remember, this kind of feels very similar to that, especially with all the government shut down. I feel like the price is doing relatively well for all the frustrating things we've seen geopolitically and here stateside in the last 3 months.
Yeah. Each of those pullbacks was about 32% too. Which I found very, very interesting, where we found that floor was smack dab at 32%. That yen carry trade low right there again, right? It's almost like a stair step up into the right with massive washouts controlled by institutions, getting us all off of the boat before the boat really is able to take off. It just feels that way. And good shout out from Pure Chad on Rumble. If you're on Rumble, share us out there. We're trying to grow on Rumble. BlackRock holds 775,000 Bitcoin as it sits right now. So the heat's on. I think that I'm still betting on Sailor. I'm still betting on Sailor for this.
I mean, this is the driver. I mean, look at what we're seeing right now. You can barely see it, but we're just now starting to break to right at near all-time highs again. And this uptick, look at this. This is that tariff crash. Boom, this moved up. Did Bitcoin's price move up, or was there an increase in liquidity that drove it? Was there an increase in liquidity that drove this breakout? Was there an increase in liquidity? That's the blue line going up as this ran up here. Was it the ETF or was it the liquidity? We're seeing a combination of these things in concert. And when they line up, like right now, where there is bullish expectation in 2026, and we see every indication the world over, China, Japan, the US, Europe, about money printing, easing financial situation. So technicals say we should have a pretty big drop that continues down from here. The fundamentals say strap in because it's about to blast.
Well, JP Morgan's out here talking about another angle crypto has, that stable coins can work better for international payments. What he means is we have a Trojan horse in the form of stable coins backed by US treasuries that we're going to invade your country's fiat currency system with. That is what this is about. It's that these countries across the world are trying to pull back and, stop getting involved with the US dollar. And now we have all these stable coins that are making their way into countries across the planet. And the stable coins are actually required to be backed by US treasuries. So through the Genius Act, this is all some major 6D chess here going on. Matty B, you think it's going to piss off Xi Jinping if Circle invades China?
Well, I was thinking about, Jack Mallers. You were talking about that. I kind of worry about that guy because, it is a big club and Jack Mallers not in it. So someone's got to check his breaks every day because I think they brought him in as like, hey, let's get this guy resonates with the kids. Maybe we'll be cool if we get Jack Mallers as the CEO. And so now he's kind of probably thinking his shit doesn't stink and he's a CEO of these massive companies. And then just when they no longer need him, all of a sudden something's going to happen to Jack Mallers, God forbid. But I mean, he's just not in that club. So, I mean, so on one hand, he calls JP or Jimmy Dimon's, Epstein's banker, but yet he's partnered with Epstein's neighbor. Right? Dude,
and that's new information to me, Matty B. And this is why
he's his next door neighbor, like in New York in the Brown House or whatever. It was Howie Lutnick, welcome Matt, right next door.
God, that is so crazy. It's a small club and we're not a part of it. All right, that's just the way this world goes. I see some chats. We're out of altcoins after this. And I completely understand. This alt season of 2025 has probably created the most Bitcoin maximalists ever in the history of crypto, right? What is this, Kelly? One of these is not like the other.
One of these things is not like the other. Jack Mallers fighting it. Yeah.
Oh God. And Brainimation, what Drew is saying, seemed Putin was getting pretty upset about this about 3 to 6 months ago. Yes, indeed. This is like they try to escape the US dollar system and then crypto's just taking off across the planet. And a vast majority of the largest stable coins are being required to back their value in US treasuries, US debt, right? So it's one and the same.
When it comes to the fundamentals as well, like historically, we're about to, if we just follow the plan, we're going to head into a bear market, right? But historically, these cycles were run by big mega whale nerds and retail, right? So retail came in, pumped it to oblivion, whales dumped on retail, and then we went to bear market, whales started buying. At the end of it, the parabolic blow off top as retail gets hornswoggled in, and then the big nerdy whales flush them out. That's what it is. But I don't think we're in that market anymore. I think that was the farm team. Like we have farm teams up here that are like the C-level NHL teams, and then you get called up, and then you get into the big leagues, and I think we're in the big leagues of the finance now. So you could say that the cycle has probably changed forever.
Well, I mean, the 2017 top marked the first time institutions participated in Bitcoin. And what happened at 2017 top? The market mega crashed. Why was that? You never had the ability to short Bitcoin before 2017. And then all of a sudden you had the CME futures where traditional market players saw the absolute parabola and they go, okay, well, I'm not going to buy into a parabola. Let's short. So the first instance of institutions really getting involved in Bitcoin marked, I don't want to say manipulating price, but marked taking advantage of retail at the max euphoria stage. We've never gotten euphoria this cycle. And then you try to compare 2017, 2021, and this where we're at today. not one of these 3 market cycle tops have had relevant regular circumstances that are really comparable to one another. So even though we have a 4-year cycle on repeat, the 2-3 cycles before this, all the shapes and the context around the market have been very different. And now they are like overwhelmingly different. So I do think it takes an adaptable, patient player now.
Yeah, absolutely. I see Illuminati is bringing up the Benner cycle. And this is an interesting angle on cycles, the Benner cycle. It's I think this comes from like pig farming or something. But the Benner cycles highlights midterm little peak here in 2026 coming up, if that is accurate. And I do see a lot of hype about privacy coins. And I don't want to call it hype, because Monero's pump has been pretty sustainable. Zcash has been on just a blow off top type pattern. Monero is a very, very interesting and, in my opinion, an important crypto to exist. It's the angle of privacy, because of what I talked about earlier about the likelihood of the verbiage of the strategic Bitcoin reserve, highlighting the importance of seizures and the national security reasons of accumulating Bitcoin for the US. And this is why I think things like Monero need to exist as alternatives. Monero's been getting delisted all over the place, and yet the price is still doing incredible, which paints a pretty damn bullish picture for the price to be doing this while it's being taken off of availability on exchanges. People are searching out that freedom aspect that crypto offers. I do wonder where Zcash is, though, while I'm on this conversation, and I'm scared to look at the midnight chart. Should we look at the midnight chart? Didn't that come out today or something? Let's see here. So we got the Zcash chart about 4:30. I remember just turbulent zone at about $500 was likely. We're almost back to that $500 mark, because I know that a big chunk of folks were getting into this thing right here and then coming to the channel to yell at me about it right here. So when you get back up to there, if you can't handle the heat, get the out of the kitchen. Okay, that is what I would say to you in terms of that. If you get emotional about having a downturn in a highly speculative altcoin, it might not be the pick for you.
Well, you know, speaking of institutions, we had other big news today as well on an institutional basis, and that's this Bitwise 10 crypto index. You know, so this is the type of stuff that might not even do a lot of volume. But the point here is that this getting listed starts giving this sort of name recognition notoriety to the traditional finance and institutional players that are out there, that they look at something like this and they go, okay. And if they start seeing these names pop up in other ones, like Link has a ton of ETFs on the horizon, are some already out, XRP, Solana, Cardano, I don't think is listed in many. Litecoin is also listed in several that are on the horizon. Sui, Avalanche, Dot. This starts to build that narrative, and people forget, because they see how long the crypto's been around. It's entrenched. It's not. It's still such a new asset class, especially in the face of institutional players, where institutional players are just getting awareness first, but then access to these things through the means that they're comfortable. Stock exchanges, indexes, index funds, so on and so forth. So this is kind of important. And then you got Coinbase. What is it, in 8 days from now? They have a major announcement on December 17th. And yes. I think it's going to be pretty impactful for the Base ecosystem. What do you think?
Well, they've actually highlighted like JP Morgan was going to roll out their own token on the Base network. They were also willing to give a valuation on the Base network at around $34 billion as it sits right now. There's speculation that Base token itself could be released. And I see some questions about Aerodrome, and I want to talk about Aerodrome because it's not pumping with the rest of the market. I think that my thesis on Base Network and Aerodrome being a pillar of liquidity and DeFi has not changed. Aerodrome is still under $1 billion market cap of a network that's being valued at 34 billion plus by one of the biggest banks in the United States, even the planet. So this is a situation where I think Aerodrome has good staying power as things sit right now. I'm less concerned about short-term price. Where are we at? We're almost at.
I mean, look at this. Somebody asked about it. I mean, look at this downtrend Okay. Look at this horizontal sort of level. If we get on the smaller time frames, you'll see it. This horizontal level through here. The price action is right now at this crux of deciding if it wants to have another pump. And if it does break through this zone, I think we're going to get a pretty quick pop up into the 76 to 78 range, maybe a little pullback, and then start stair stepping up. But nice sort of inverse head and shoulder, Quasimodo style. But everything feels like it's kind of on that horizon right now for the next move. Kind of waiting on ETH to follow through, waiting on Bitcoin to follow through. But even Aerodrome and these other things going into December 17th, I wouldn't be barking at this and be mad because I think it's still stacking season.
Yeah.
What's your take on this pump being just the baked in pump for tomorrow for the FOMC?
There's a degree of that, I think. What do you think?
I think we'll get a whipsaw because we've seen it in nearly every FOMC decision. So if we get on the hourly, if this, let's say this stays up here, I would not be surprised to see something like this or the inverse of that. Pump, sell off, back to equilibrium, little washout, and then making a move. I think it's going to be pretty max liquidations in both directions tomorrow. I'd be waiting through tomorrow into into Thursday to really see what direction the market wants to take it.
You know, when you're talking about privacy coins there, I think that's like indicative of how early we actually are, right? So when you're this early, you don't even know what you don't know. So for instance, like let's say the three of us each had 10 Bitcoin. You know, if that's just transparent on the ledger, what a crazy target we all would be. Let's say it goes to $1 million, right? It's not that $12 million, some fantastic amount of money, but if you're going to rob someone, well, you might as well start with the people with $10 million that's just sitting there.
All you have to do is sell bracelets on the street and have people pay in Bitcoin. And every single person that bought a bracelet, you could see exactly how much money they have in their accounts and who they spent it with. I do think privacy is an absolute needed and necessary component of this. My question is going to be, though, is it going to be these privacy coins, or are they going to bake in privacy means in wallets and stuff that gain some sort of regulatory approval?
There needs to be something done for sure.
Is that a thing? Like you could, let's say someone purchases something via Bitcoin. Can that processor go, oh, let's just check out this dude's net worth?
Yeah, because if you buy something from me, in the transaction ID, it has your wallet address and my wallet address. All I need to do is drop your wallet address into Arkham, and then boom, I get a map of not only how much money is in your account, but also every wallet that you're interacting with, and you can map these things out. It's on the one hand, it's an amazing technology. The fact that we can track it all now is awesome for many reasons, but it's also puts people in the crosshairs. Privacy needs to be a factor of how we use this as everyday commerce for sure.
You guys kept talking about privacy, and I got to check out the Night token. Hold on to your buckets. Okay. Oh, it's actually not that bad. Wait, I have to turn it upside down. So this is what happened.
You fucker.
No, but I wanted to succeed, right? This is not a great start. I will say that. It's not a great start. Why can't we have nice things? You know, and that's why I'm getting hope about the Monero chart. Honestly, if you ask me out of Zcash, Midnight, a Monero, which privacy token do you like the most? I like Monero the most. And maybe I'm crazy. I got Monero socks. I support Monero. I like Monero. I might, have a boating accident every now and again, and me and Monero hang out a little bit. It's no big deal. But, I think that privacy matters. We're being taxed twice, right? So we have an external and an internal revenue service right now, and something needs to change about that on a systemic level. Will it change? Probably not. In institutions, they get their privacy. Canton Network, right? The Canton Network token, that thing came out. I still like it. Didn't come to my, additional DCA point, just average DCA. I was going to back up the truck at about like 0.5 or something like that. Canton Network is trying to take off on me though, but let's actually go look at these altcoins. So let's go. Bam, bam. All right. So Canton is the least of the movers, but I know is very, very volatile. Like it was up one of the top gainers, and then it's back down. Honestly, it's just trying to build off. A lot of these charts look like they're trying to show a bottoming setup right now. And, Canton Network, they don't really care about retail. It's nothing that's going to be full posting on Twitter about themselves. It's a transactional layer for Microsoft and massive institutions. They do not care about, how many retail get involved in this thing. Steve-O, gonna have to get you, buddy.
You are banned!
He said, but he put his comments on X, so I can't time him out of the YouTube, but good on you. And good on you. I got to check out these other things here because there's a couple other alts. Someone else was asking about Linnea. If I still like Linnea, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. I still do like Linnea. Let's see here. Gosh, it's went down to basically the bottom end of that liquidity pole right there. Now some kind of crazy. I think it was Justin said that a lot of these altcoins probably represented where their stronghold support levels were at these October 10th liquidation pole level. So Linnea, I still like it. I bought a little bit more on the way down here to lower my average entry. But yes, just to answer your question, I do like it. Arkham, is that the spelling? Yes, that is Arkham Intelligence. Arkham has a token, but when I looked at the token, it's like I can use the platform without buying the token. So it showed no use to me and in terms of a token to hold, and it has not gone well. But the website and the platform is pretty cool.
Website is amazing.
Yeah, I mean, you can go here and now look, they got buying markets, all that stuff. Let's go to Arkham Intelligence here. I would say, Kelly, you kind of glanced over it because we're so used to it. But for anyone that wants to kind of up their game in crypto, going to Arkham Intelligence, and then you can search by here's BlackRock, Strategy, Wintermute, Binance, Satoshi Nakamoto, Pippin, this trending, it gives you all and this Pippin thing has been absolute chaos. This is total money washing, in my opinion. It came out of nowhere. It's pumping like crazy. I'm not buying it. I'm not touching it. Not going to chase the green candle on it because I hate buying high and selling low. That's kind of a rule I have against in crypto in my life. So
what are your thoughts on 2026 all-time high? What's your probabilities?
I'd say about 150, and I'd say it's high.
So you say we're going to see an all-time high in 2026?
I do. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. I do say that we're going to see an all-time high. I have a couple riskier bets that we're going to be a little bit past the 126 mark by May 30th of 2026. So that's my general market expectation. I think that this was simply an institutional get the F off my lawn before we send up higher. What is this? Oh yeah, you got your likely targets. What is this, Kelly?
Yeah, this is I drew this out I think in May or June. These were the targets I'm looking for somewhere in these. This is possible but very improbable coming up in here, but I think somewhere in this range 158 to 180 I think is. But the problem is, this is the problem. Everybody's still, if the 4-year cycle's dead, right, then this sort of regularity, boom, 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 means that if that's over, then it's unlikely that, it's unlikely that that the price also similarly for a bear market, if this comes up into this range and we do the similar thing that we've been doing, we might just get a 40 or 50% correction, continue up, kind of like we've been doing this whole cycle so far. So the question is, even when we talk about tops, the next top, what is the top followed by? Is the next top followed by 40%, 50%, 70%? I think if this runs up into astronaut zone, I think we have a pretty darn big correction. If this runs up only to this likely target zone, maybe a retest back around the 122, 125 range, and the continuation. It's all sort of dependent on, do we get, the never-ending doomer story about the max market crash that's on the horizon that's been that way for 10 years? I don't know, because we also see housing issues. And if we see a 50% correction in housing, I would expect that we also see the S&P 500 take a pretty big spill. But then what does Bitcoin do? Is it a larger spill, or has it made the flippening where it's actually a store of value and trades alongside gold? I think everything's up in the air right now, and that's what's exciting, but that's also frustrating for people that watch people like us and they go, why can't you tell us what it's going to do? Because the entire world is changing around us every week, especially with this new administration.
Kelly, can we just look at how close we are from 150 on this chart?
Oh,
That's
my God.
what's really striking me about this. I'm not like, my expectations for 23 are at the bottom end of this.
And look at this. Look at where we dipped into. And people are losing their minds. I've had this outline since June. On the way up, I said, if this comes up here, we'll likely, we could potentially get this gift from God buy zone, meaning, oh my God, I can't believe it got this low, but this is a washout. Now, I'm going to be proved entirely wrong if this does come up and it comes down into back to the 74. But I think this is one of those cases where you realize that it's better to hold than to just actively trade every freaking move for your portfolio, I should say.
Yeah. It's Steamer being, maybe I should buy some of that night token just because it's so low. I didn't buy any beforehand. I know people were out there mining it and stuff using computers. I think DZ even mined it. I think 150 is within reason for 2026. Like, that's not calling for anything magnificent happening with Bitcoin next year. That's just simply the metrics that us nerds that have been around for Bitcoin for multiple cycles, we expect to outtrade BlackRock and all these massive institutions with our 4-year cycle roadmap. They're not going to let us do that. I'm too much of a pessimist to think that we're going to be able to outtrade and get the amazing opportunity of a 70%, 60% pullback on Bitcoin. I mean, maybe I am, nuts about that, but
somebody just pointed out that there is a rising wedge on the daily, and there is right here. We have this rising level of resistance, and the level of support here is, this is definitely, this is definitely a rising wedge. Interestingly, this line right here that this is butting up against, that's a trend line that goes all the way back here to January 2024.
Okay.
So we're on the crux of either greatness or max frustration.
Yeah, honestly, like, in the mindset we have to go into this with is like, give me cheaper Bitcoin, right? The preference is cheaper Bitcoin because it's been something that's helped me kind of change my life. Like, I was really quite desperate for something that wasn't so negative when the flu season came and it looked like we might go into martial law and like war. So now that I've had Bitcoin and an option to get outside of the banking systems and all these things that I despise so much, it's given me something else to focus on. That's not so negative. That's not so brutal. What is going on with the likes too? Smash the likes. Unbelievable. Smash the likes. KJan, we only have 35. There's no way. I'm going to shut the show down if we only have 35 likes. Hold on. Let me see this. Oh no, we're good. But KJam, the point stands. Okay.
It's a true psychopathic upside though, right? So like when you get fully orange pilled, there is no real loss. So let's say the price explodes, we win. Let's say the price dumps to levels that we never thought we'd get again, we win again, because now you can actually get some more exposure at such a cheap price that you never believed that would ever come to. Like, that is a gift of God. So it really is a win-win on a long time horizon.
Yeah. Big difference in the mindsets that I've been seeing in people during the latest pullback too, where they were slightly down by like 10, 20% or something like that on Bitcoin. And they would come in and just spew negative BS at me, even though I've been here talking about Bitcoin since $15,000. I literally called the bottom in the basement at 15K. I've been doing this for a long time. I was in the cycle before that. First Bitcoin is $4,000. And people come to me, how dare you bring up Bitcoin? Because now it's down slightly. It's like
10%.
Right. It's like, just don't top blast things, right? It's just don't top blast things and you're going to be just fine in life, even good things. And this year, moving into next year is going to get real weird. The U.S. trucking demand is also collapsing. This is logistic signals. Truck sales have now declined in 4 out of the 5 last months for medium and heavy truck sales.
Hey, from what I've heard, there's been a little bit of a crackdown on CDLs lately, right?
Maybe that has something to do with it, bro. And honestly, good. You know what I mean? They can't even speak English, and they're like driving this super deadly giant truck down the roadway with families and minivans right next to them. That is sketchy. And yes, I go nuts on cultural issues sometimes, and Kelly coaxes me in about it. As you
At
can
least
see,
you're not
he
in
just,
Canada or what I call Canadistan.
yeah,
Right. So it's a
yeah.
whole different ball game up here. When I drive on the street, I'm seriously, I feel like I'm in a video game because it's nothing but immigrants who don't know how to drive. They just kind of get rubber stamped. And then guess what they do? They start a business school. They get a free loan from the government and they start a driving school teaching their relatives how to not drive. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my god. Oh my god. All right. And I think so we want to touch on more alts. God damn, I love you, Piano Man to be. All right. Chainlink supply is falling off of exchanges. So a very drastic drop, 30% or 25% drop. And there's the pooch. 25% drop in 6 weeks of Chainlink on exchanges. The Chainlink is leaving the building. And then we have Solana peeking its little peepers out here. This is a post from James Easton, UK. Sorry about you living in the UK, buddy, but this is some interesting TA. We're at 140 currently. We cracked 140 this morning. This post was made before we cracked it. And he's saying $170 is the next price target for Solana. Now, I'm going to go check it out. I'm going to go check out Solana and see what we're looking at here. Reconnect here. I honestly think I need to buy some of this night token. I just as a test, maybe just like a couple $100 just to see. You know what I mean? Let's go to Solana. I like Solana. I think it's going to be around for a long time. A lot of people but it because it has memes, but it's got DeFi. It's got a lot of other things going for it and a heavy transaction count. A lot of users on it. So fading Solana, I think, is a mistake. Now, look at this on a larger perspective here. What you got, Piano Metaby?
It's just fading Solana, I think, is a big mistake. I think it's going to be like, as far as the altcoins go, probably the big winner.
Yeah. 170 is cake. What is it? I mean, this is nothing exciting here. Honestly, like more so, I think it's attracted to this 183 mark, the top end of these internal peaks. That's where you're going to have some turbulence. That's where you're going to have some turbulence, I think. So, do I think Solana is over with and the bull market's done? No, I think it's a different design of it. Solana is one of the main alt winners, though. I think that for sure in my heart of hearts. Now, people are saying that my Morpho bag is doing well. And if you're lying to me, you're going to get banned.
Dude, Morpho's right at a key joint right now, man.
Really?
Watch it. Watch it. This is a 1 hour. This feels good. This is a nice little pump. It's not small either. This is about 7% pump. But look at what it's tracking up into. Descending level of resistance. That if this were to push up into the zone, look at where my horizontal line goes to. Previous range low. So this will be interesting here. Not the end of the world if we reject. Everybody thinks rejections are bad. If we reject here and come back and test about right this range high, that would be exactly what you would want to see.
Okay. So you're saying there's a chance?
Oh, I think there's more than a chance. I think any of the rejections we see in the next 2 days, my style, because I really do think a lot more bullishness is coming. I'd be buying dips here, but you got to do what's right for you. There's a chance that we could see, max peak fear, peak capitulation, even below where we're at today. I'm leaning way more bullish.
Yeah, someone's bringing up Pengu. A shout out for the super chat. Hate talking about memes, but I like Pengu, and that's it. Everything other meme seems trash. Pretty much on the head there. Most memes, if not 99.99% of them, have zero chance. Pengu is taking over Southeast Asia, and it just went down to extreme lows once again from the fear and the washout of altcoins and everything like that. Pengu, much, much cheaper than it was just a few months ago. Let's see here. So it fell by 72%, and it's done this before, and then it rose, and everyone's like, oh, God, if I could just get that chance again. Well, you got that chance again. Honestly, this is giving me some FOMO. I'm going to buy some Pengu right now. Hold on. I'm buying some Pengu. I'm sick of this. I'm buying Pengu. I'm doing it. I'm buying this dip. I don't care because I got out of it when the price structure started losing it up here in like the 3 or the 4 spot. Let's see here. I'm gonna go into my Phantom and pick up some Pengu a little bit, just a touch. Okay, I'm not gonna sit here going in with my whole bag, but you know, I like me the Pudgy Penguins. I think that Luca Netz has done a really, really good job. And
He is tall as shit too. I met him.
is he really?
Yeah, he's about your height, maybe a little taller.
No way. Okay. Okay. All right. So here's the Pengu. I'm doing this live. All right. So I'm gonna do one Cholana. One Cholana. There we go. All right. It's done. All right. Well, you know what? I think it's gonna be all right, you guys. I think everything's gonna be just fine. Finally, bull market is starting, rising out, rinsing everyone out. That's right. Finally, it has started after killing everyone off and causing them to try to burn my house down with flamethrowers. So that was great. Also, Potensor Tau has that halving on the 14th, isn't it, Kelly?
I believe so, yeah. And BitTensor, pretty large downtrend here. It's kind of been compressing into the zone. Got a beautiful sort of formation coming in here that looks like it wants to reverse. And it's also like pushing up into this. If this does reject again, I'd like to see it hold above 272, but more likely about the 290 region. But yeah, this breaking out, finding some resistance, 340, bounce, go. That's what we'd like to see, but we have to see how it plays out. The RSI is back above 50. This is on the 8 hour as well. Money flow coming up. What does it look like on the daily? Look at this. It's just now about to actually be more bullish on the strength. It's literally right at that gateway on the RSI. Money flow is still negative though, but what does it look like on the 4 hour? Yeah, I mean, it's looking like it wants to make a move. It's just hesitating at the moment.
Lasers go pew pew. Oh, you know what, sir? I love you, but there's sometimes you just got to do what you got to do.
You are big!